Hello everyone, today in this video we'll be discussing the second module of web. So in second module of web we have like topics of tables and forms in the first part, and in second part we have advanced CSS. So there are some concepts. Okay, I tried making notes, but it's better to look at the textbook itself because they have explained very beautifully in the textbook itself. Okay, so notes won't cover all those things. So the thing is, like, you have to pick up the points. Okay, so I'll tell you what to remember and what to like focus more upon. So we have two chapters in the module 2, and I'll give you the link to download the textbook. You download from there, and you can refer this only. Okay, that's more than enough. Okay, so we have the two chapters, which are, this is the first chapter, HTML tables and forms, and second chapter is advanced CSS layout. Okay, so before starting, if you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Okay, so let's go to page number 148 and about tables and forms. Okay, so this is the chapter. Okay, what is the fourth chapter is the HTML tables and forms. So mainly you need to know two things here. Okay, how to create tables and how to add the rows and how to add the columns. Means if they give you in the exam to create a table like this, you need to know how to set this column span as row span as 2, so that it covers 2 rows, and it looks like this. And what how to insert here, how to insert. And another thing is you have to set the font size and the borders also, so the table looks like this, or it can even look like this. Okay, this is also a valid table, like it has the cells in it. If the cells are visible, if the cells are not visible, what function you have to apply. Okay, so those are the things. Text means table styling and all is there, so we'll be discussing that, and it's frequently asked in exam. So let's get started. And let me take you to the, okay, this is the thing which you need to remember: basic table structure. Okay, if they ask you what is table, you can define it in your own words. It's a matrix in which the data are stored by the rows and columns, and the indexes are accessed by the row number and column number. Okay, and in table, if you have to write the code for it, if you want to create like this table, at that time what you are supposed to do is you'll be starting with the table tag and ending with the table tag. So it will just create a box like this. Okay, and in the box what you need to add is the rows. Okay, your first task is to add is the rows. How you'll add the rows is this tr. If you write tr like this, another row will be created, and slash tr. Inside that row, what all data you want to add, for each data you have to use what tag? Td tag. Okay, td tag means one data will be written, another td tag, another data will be written, another td tag, another data will be written. Okay, like that the row will be filled. How many things you have applied here, that same thing you have to apply here, otherwise it will be like in a wrong image. Okay, so you have to know how much you have applied here, that same thing you have to apply here, and that will create a table. Okay, this is the basic structure of the table. Okay, next let's see what is the spanning rows and spanning columns. A very important topic. In spanning rows and spanning columns, if you want a table like this, okay, so here is the height and width is given, so that's not important as of now. So what does a span do is, like, if we write here, for example, call span is equal to 2. What does call span is equal to? Where is it written? First row, last one. First row, last one, I have written call span is equal to 2. So this is the first row, and the last one is this one. Here I have written call span is equal to 2. That means it will fetch means the two columns. Okay, call span means span of this column should be equal to 2 columns. So this whole will be considered as one column, and this one will be separate in the other rows. Okay, so like that call span works. The same way we can work with row span as well. So in the row span, what will happen? If you write row span is equal to 3, at that time what will happen? Where I have written row span is equal to 3, observe that first. I have written here after the heading tag, I have written the second row, row span is equal to t, first data in the second row. This is the first row, this is the second row, the first data I have written row span is equal to 3, so it will be occupying 3 row spaces. Okay, this is equal to 3 row, it will occupy 3 row spaces. Okay, that's how call span and row span is used, and you have to explain that in the exam as well, like write the syntax, write the meaning, and give an example. Okay, that was about the spanning of rows and columns. And the next one is, okay, table borders is the next important topic. In table borders, what we have, like table borders, you already know, right, what how the width of the table should be appeared at the corners. Okay, that is what the table border. So we'll be specifying using border size, I guess, I'm not sure. Okay, that comes in CSS, but for now just remember that if you want a tables in this form, like this form, or you want a table like this form, okay, that depends on one attribute, which is background collapse, border collapse. Okay, border collapse means it will be joined together. If you don't write border collapse, it will be separate. Okay, that's all about the border, table borders and boxes and zebras. Okay, so here's an example. So if you want a table like means the table should be appeared with a solid 1 point black color border. At that time, just write in the CSS part, open a CSS file, write this code here, table border solid black, and write a HTML code inside that. If you use table, whatever you wrote here, that will be applied to this part. Okay, so it will be appeared in this way. If you want it in this way, don't write border collapse. If you don't want in this way, write border collapse. Okay, border collapse means you can observe here it is joined, right? See, these things are not joined here lines, okay, but these things are joined in this line. That's the means the working of border collapse. Okay, and what else is there? Yeah, that's all what you need to remember: border collapse and setting the border width. Okay, these things are also there, but it's not that important. Okay, so you can skip for now, and we'll be moving to the forms. So basically, what does a form do? A form will just it will have a format in which it will take the inputs from the user, and after that it will means take those inputs and submit to the page. Okay, so how does forms work? That will be seeing first. Okay, so how does forms work is in this way. Okay, forms is this one. You already know what is forms. Like it's a survey page. Okay, we'll be entering the details and submitting it. Okay, so if you want to fill a form, first what you will do, first you will go to the computer, you will type like that URL where the form is present. So that URL will be sent to the web server, and the web server will search the forms code. Okay, so that forms code will be generated, and that forms code will be sent back to the user's computer, and that will be seen here. So what happened, a request was sent, that request was fetched here, where is the code for that form, that code was generated, and that was sent back to the user screen. Now in the user screen, what you can see is this form. Okay, it's an empty form, the user can select and submit. Okay, so user what it will do, so user what he will do, he will fill the form here and then click the submit button. So when the submit button is clicked, what should happen is all these values which have been selected, that should be saved in the web server. Whatever the user has selected, that should be saved where? It should be saved in the web server. So that will be coming and showing in the web server, and means whatever the operation is to be performed, that will be performed. For example, if this is an admission form, at that time whatever the user has entered the information, that should be stored in admission database, right? So that will be happening through PHP. Okay, this is how the forms work. So forms work, that's not asked in exam, but it's important for you to know, to understand other topics in forms. Okay, so form structure, what is the structure of form? It starts from the tag form. That's the first step you need to remember. Start from form. Okay, if they ask in exam the form structure, this is what you have to write. This example you have to write: form, start form and end form. What it will do is it will create a box like this, which is of the type format form. At that time you had wrote table, right? So what does table do? Table will create a box which is of the type table. Now we have the type form. Okay, and after that, let me tell you the important things. I'll come back to method, action, and field set legend. I'll come back to this later, but now what you can see here, that you tell me. Firstly, if you zoom in the example given here, what all we have is details, title, country, and submit here. Okay, so how can we write here detail? But before that, we need to know how to write title and country. That let's see that first. So wherever you means need to write something like means input thing, so for that what you need to write is label. Okay, what does label do is it will create a label like this, like the label name will be title. Inside the opening and closing tag of label, what you write is title. So the title will be appeared here, and after that what you need is like you can have the input. So just if you just write input also, it will work. Okay, just if you write input, by default what will happen is this input will come, text input. Okay, but the standard format is input. Then before closing the input tag, you have to write type is equal to text and name is equal to title. Name is just for the reference purpose. Okay, like if you want to access what is present here, like in the Android we have ID, right? And we'll be accessing r dot id dot something, right? R dot res dot id. Okay, so those things for accessing that particular element in the HTML form, will be using name. But if you don't use that's also fine. Okay, so input type is equal to text and title, and yeah, that's all what will appear here. And same thing goes for this also. This country is also another label. If you observe, like title only, so we'll be writing here country instead of title. And after that, how to get this option? To get this option, that is the select. Okay, select name is equal to where. Okay, you have to write this compulsorily. Select name is equal to where, because you are just selecting from where, which option you want, right? So select name is equal to where, then options will be given like this by using the option tag. Choose a country: Canada, France, Finland and United States. Okay, so that will be shown here, and close the select tag. And that's the two things here which are present in the elements part of the form. Moving on, we have the input type is equal to submit. So to get this submit button, you have to write input type is equal to what? Submit. Okay, and field set is nothing but it will just set a field for a particular elements in the form, so it will be as a group. Okay, that's all what field set does. And what does legend do is, legend will have like an outline here. Okay, if you write legend details and closing tag of legend, that time will be appearing, that time it will appear means this form as you can see here, and the name will be written in this way here. Okay, so that will look like a form, so you have to add the legend tag. Okay. So this is all what you have to explain in the exam if they ask you the HTML syntax and elements. Okay, and what is method and what is action? Method is nothing but get means what? Getting the data. What you are doing here, sending means giving to the user to get the data from the user, instead of fetching the data from the server, right? See, this is the user, this is the server. So you are present here. Okay, you are a developer, you are present here. What you are doing is, you are getting the data from the user, isn't it? You are getting the data from the user and sending it to the server. But if the user requests some data which is already stored in the server, at that time you will fetch the data from the server. At that time you will not write as means get it. At that time you will write as post. For example, if user wants to save some data, like fetch the password, user has stored some password, user wants some password, so user is fetching some password. At that time we'll be using the post. Okay, method as post. So yeah, that's all what is there. And action means which, if we submit it, which page it should go. It should go to which PHP page. So PHP page will process the data, save it and apply the logic and all. So we'll be learning that in the further modules, but in this module just remember that action will means which page it should go after clicking the submit button. Okay, and method dot get is for getting the data from the user, and post is for saving the data to the server. Okay, which we already discussed how forms work. And what's next important? Query string. Query string means what? See, after we have written this all things here, okay, after we have written all these things, and if we click submit, everything, this information, how it will go through the URL only, right? If you observe the URL carefully, you'll observe like question mark 20 percentage equal to, and question mark, like that, some things will be there. Okay, so those things are nothing but what values you present here, that will be stored in some format. Okay, if you stored United States here, it might be United States. Central Park, that might be here after 20%. So that format is there, and this thing is known as query string. Okay, so that's what the query string means. It's telling about what it does. So here's an example, like title is equal to Central Park, Central plus Park, and where is equal to United plus States. So this is the format of query string for this thing. Okay, so if they ask you these things, you just have to explain what is the query string. Okay, next we have the form element. So I don't think so form element is repeated question. Form control elements. Get versus post, you can get more information regarding get and post through this topic. If you read this, you'll get a better idea what does get and post do in the methods. And here are some of the things like button data list form and all. You can go through it. It means you must go through it, because if in exam they ask, you need to write at least 4 or 5, right? So you need to know some of those things. You can go through it. Text input controls. Okay, let me explain you what is text input controls. Text, normal text, if you write this code inside the forms, at that time you'll get a text like this. Okay, single line. Text area, you'll get a bigger line like this, like to write a paragraph. Password means whatever you write, it will be like in a dotted form. Search means it will be having a style of search. I have not used this one, but I'm not sure. Okay, it will provide a clear field icon, and I think there will be a search means icon, I'm not sure. And email, I know email should have at the rate symbol, otherwise the email will be invalid. And tell means you have to enter the phone number, the 10 digits, and if you click on that phone number, at that time it will means make a call from the laptop. Okay, URL, it will be having a URL format. So these are the text input controls, the type of text you can set. Okay, that's about the text inputs. Okay, there are some more inputs like the lists input, like the drop down menus and the checkboxes and the radio buttons. These are very very important questions. Okay, so you need to know the formats of each of these and what do they do, and how to write the code for it and give an example. These are the things you need to write an exam. Okay, so let's see what is there further. So this is what I was telling. Okay, I didn't know these things are there here, like an example they have given. So this is what I was also telling, like text area password, it will appear as a password, and search will be like, it will be written search here, X will come here, and email, the email will be here. If it's not valid, it will show it as not valid. URL also is there, and the URL format, if it's not there, I guess it will show as invalid URL, and telephone, it will show as like this. Okay, so you have to give an example for at least 4 or 5. Okay, so let's see what is there further in the module. And choice controls. Okay, choice control means the options like this. Okay, just as how I showed you, you can use select, or you can use the data element, data list also. The both are the same things. Options will be here, and whatever you select, it will be selected. Okay, okay, so this is a bit different. Data list, why is it different, is because the input type is text instead of the drop down menu. Okay, so here we will be typing things and the suggestions will be shown here. So for achieving that, we'll be using this code. Okay, and next we have is the select. This is the select which I already discussed. Select name is equal to choices, and things will be here. And you want to create a groups like this, opt group you have to write, and the options will be present here. Close the opt group, a new opt group will open another options, and select and close. Okay, so those are for the drop down menus. Okay, there are some more options here, but the above thing what I told you, that means the main thing you need to know. Okay, and we have the radio buttons as well. So for radio buttons, what you have to do is input type is equal to radio. Okay, what input type it is, radio button, and after that the name is where, after means this compulsory you have to write name is equal to where. Okay, and value is equal to 1 2 3 means what is the values of each of these. It will be stored as an ID, and the names will be present here. Okay, names will be present here. That's about the radio buttons. And checkbox is also same. Input type is equal to checkboxes. So 4.2.2 they have shown. So let's see where is 4.2.2. Okay, this 4.2.2 example. So here is the checkboxes. If you want to have a code like this, at that time what you have to do is start from label, just write where you would like to visit. This will show here. Then input type is equal to checkbox, and name is equal to visit. So since you are doing a visit survey, that time name will be same. Make sure that name is same for the checkboxes as well as for the radio buttons. Means whenever you write the code for radio buttons, all the options should have same name, and here also all the options should have same name. These both can be different, means the radio buttons and the checkboxes can be different, but within the radio boxes and the checkbox, whatever options you include, those should have same name. Okay, and after that you will be writing the values here, and names here. So whatever names you write here, that will be appeared here. Okay, so that's mainly the important things which you need to know in the radio boxes and checkboxes. Let's see what's there further. Submit and reset, we all know what is submit and reset. It will submit the form, it will clear the form. Okay, these are all the things also, they like the date time and all. So if you can't means, I'm not sure if it's asked in exam or not, but let me take you through briefly, means give you a brief overview of what it is. So here the input time is equal to image. Means what happens is, instead of like click me, if you want to just means make an image appear here, if you click the image, at that point it will take you to some other URL. At that time what should happen is, you will be using input type is equal to image, source is equal to appointment png. So what image should be stored, that source should be specified here, and it will be showed as a image, means which is clickable. Okay, same thing can be done with the button as well. Start a button and include an image as well as text, image and another text here. At both time you can do the same things. See, here's an image, this image is this one, and email I've written, so email is shown here. Okay, so both you can include at the same button element. Okay, what else do we have further to post these things? Upload, I think you can write this code, but that's not important from exam point of view. Specialized controls, numbers and range, if you want things like this. Okay, you can write these codes, it's very easy, you can go through it. Background color, that we all know what is background color, how you can set bg color, background color, or even color. Date time controls, like if you want a calendar or the times like this, you have to just write these lines of code. Very easy. Input type is equal to time, this will show time. Input type is equal to date time, it will show date time in this format, and so on. calendar, just write here like date at that time to show you the calendar. And yeah, that's all what's there in date and time controls. Table and form accessibility. Accessibility means what? We are able to insert the data into the table. So nothing much is there about this one. Accessible forms. And see, accessible forms, for that what you have to do is label for f title and id is equal to f title, means you have to access this element. At that time you will be using the same id, so you'll be specifying an id here and you'll be using that id in this place. Okay, that's all how the accessible forms are there. Means how do we work. Okay, and micro format, what is micro format? So this is a small topic which was asked once or twice in the previous papers. So what is micro format is that since there are many users worldwide, what will happen? They all will have their own information, right? Where they live and what they do and what's their age and their information. So everyone will have those information. What will be done is the common types of people's information will be gathered and a H card will be created. Okay, so the people living in Africa, that will be created. The people living in Europe, that will be created. Australia, India, and so on. Okay, so those will be created like in by the locations. If it's from the age, people between 0 to 10 years, between people between 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and so on, that groups also will be created. Okay, so that's what the micro format means. Okay, if they ask in exam, just explain these things. Okay, so this is what is there in the first chapter, which is tables and forms. And let's move to the second chapter, which is advanced css layout. Okay, so here what all you need to focus is firstly you need to know what is normal flow. See, I'll give you a basic example. By this example, if you remember this example, it will be sufficient for you, okay, for this whole chapter. So see, here you have a ipad. Okay, you have an ipad here and you have a iphone here. Okay, so you have opened a website here, so that website was displayed. But what happened is, in this mobile it was displayed properly like this, but in when you opened here in the your tab, at that time what happened is the website was displayed till here only and here was empty spaces. Okay, so what was size for mobile, that only size appeared here and rest was empty here. Or in the other case, you open another website, that time what happened, this whole website was covering this part. Okay, and if you zoom out also, means if you zoom out also, at that time also it was covering. But if you zoom in also, the things which were present here, that were adjusting by itself, this thing was coming here. If you zoom in, this much was shown in the first row, second row, these things will happen. So how is this difference happening? This difference is happening because of two types of layout, which is normal layout and liquid layout. Very important topic from exam point of view. Normal layout will do the means the previous case which I told you, that is normal layout. And what case I'm telling you now, like it is like a liquid, that is known as liquid format. Liquid flow, that's the second one. Okay, that's all what is there in the advanced CSS layout. How to set the sizes of the screen so that it will be accessible from different devices. Okay, so normal flow, what is normal flow is, see, you'll be writing h1 tags, closing h1 tags, ul tags, p tags, and division tags. What happens is h1 will be shown here, ul will be shown here, p will be shown here, division will be shown here. Even if you zoom, what will happen, this part will be zoomed very much and still it will be in the first line only. But what I want is it should end here, and it should, means see, if I zoom this part, what I am expecting is that this line should be starting and ending here within this part. After that, the next line, which is starting from here till here, that should be appear in the second line, and from here to here, that should appear in the third line. I hope you understand what I mean. If you zoom these things, it should be adjusted accordingly. The whole content should be displayed. I need not scroll here and there, like up and down for viewing the content. It should be, means adjusted. The whole line should be broken into three parts and it should be adjusted below one another. That should happen. But in the normal flow, that doesn't happen. Everything will be like in a single line itself. Okay, different elements. So that's what the advanced CSS layout means. Replaced line elements and non-replaced inline elements, those are the same things. Don't worry much about it. So just remember that in the normal flow those things don't happen. And in this way, if it's not fixed, at that time this will be appearing like text, then image, text, and a. If I zoom in further, the image will be till here itself. If I means if I zoom like further in, at that time text will come here, a will move us slightly right side, and this text will come back. So those things might happen. Okay, so that's what the see, if the browser window resizes, then the inline content will be reflowed. Okay, so that's all the main concept what is explained in the normal flow. Okay, actually this is the main concept is explained in the whole module. Okay, so if you got this concept very well, then you can appear means write the questions at least for 2 to 3 marks. Okay, the rest of the things are like syntax and how exactly things work. If you explain more better way, you'll get more marks. Okay, so that's what there in the module normal flow. and some specification regarding it, you can go through it. And there are two types of positioning elements, relative and absolute. What is relative? Relative means with respect to some other thing. Absolute means without any reference, but just in that same place. Okay, if I give you an example what is relative and absolute positioning. So this is a normal means HTML part. Here you have a paragraph tag, then an image tag, again paragraph tag. Okay, it will appear like this. But what if you wrote an absolute position for this one, or even relative position? In relative position, you have to specify how much from the top and how much from the left. It should always be present. At that time, what will happen is relative to the means borders, tables border, it will be appeared. So it will be appearing above the content as well, because 150px and 200px relative position is this one for the image. Image will appear in this position. Absolute also is the same, but if you scroll in the absolute, it will stay in the same position, means instead of moving it up with the content. Okay, so that's what the only difference between absolute and relative. The code is also very simple. The code is just you have to write position, relative, and top and left you have to specify. Absolute also it's the same thing, you just have to write absolute, and position will be specified here. See, even if you scroll here, the position will not change relative to the content which was present in the previous case. Okay, that is absolute positioning. But here the even the picture will be scrolled, means with respect to the content. That's the difference between relative and absolute. A very important question. Okay, what is z index? See, if I give an example what is z index is. You have I can give an example in the windows. Okay, so this is your desktop window, and in that place what you have done is you are doing a Photoshop. Okay, in Photoshop you have written a teddy bear photo here. Okay, you have pasted a teddy bear photo here. At that time, after that you insert another photo which is a black color photo. Okay, just a black color. So black color will be like this visible. Okay, so what you do is you click on this photo. When you click on this photo, what will happen? This will come on the top and this will go in the behind, right? So how the image will be appeared is it will be appeared like this, right? Black photo will be just appeared this much. Because you click this photo, this this photo came up. So what's happening is it's like an imaginary z-axis here, right? This x-axis, this is y-axis. Whatever you click first, that will be present near to you in the screen. Whatever was clicked at last, it will be present here. So this is known as z-index. Okay, that is known as z-index. That's what they have explained here. The more value of z-index, the nearer to you. Okay, so here's the z-index. Okay, the more z-index value, the nearer to you. Okay, the items are closest to the viewer that have a larger z-index value. Okay, you can see an example in figure 5.7. So 5.7 is here. Okay, see here, observe carefully. Z-index value of figure is what? -1, and fig caption is 1. Okay, so this is what it is appearing, it is behind the paragraph. And but here if the z-index value is 1 and the figure caption is -1, at that time the figure is means the figure is appearing above the text. Okay, that's what it is trying to specify, like what is z-index. Okay, next is fixed position. That's same as the absolute position as well, but I'm not sure like what exactly the difference is. So I guess the figure will be fixed where its position regardless of what the page part of the page is being viewed. So it will be fixed here at the same part and will not move. Okay, so that's what the fixed position is. Next is the important topic, which is floating elements. If you give you an example what is floating elements, like see, in the floating element what happens is you'll be having an image here and it will be like float. Okay, it will be floating. So just observe like there will be some chemicals, right? Let me tell you some thing about one. See, chemicals will be here. Okay, so some chemicals repel other chemicals, right? So if you bring that other this is known as repelling chemical. Okay, so if you bring repelling chemical here, at that time these all chemicals will move farther away, right? That same thing, if you move it here, the other things will be moving away. So observe the repelling chemical as an image. Okay, which is floating element. This is the floating element and these are the content. Okay, which are the other chemicals content. So what happens is if you bring an image here, at that time the whole text which was present here, that will be starting from here, like when, while, lovely, valley, and teams, and those things will be starting from here. If you bring this image here, at that time there will be a paragraph, then an image, again paragraph, image, means paragraph, then image, paragraph, and so on. Okay, like that wherever you put it here, the text will be means around it. Okay, that is known as floating element. To achieve this, you have to write this code here. Float. Okay, float is equal to how much? Left means in the left part it will float. If you write it as right, float right, it will come to the right part. Okay, So these are some of the things. You can go through it for more detail, but that's what I have explained. That's the means the basic thing which you need to know. Okay, floating multiple items side by side. Okay, this for the multiple items how you can achieve. Okay, that's just means detailed information of what I explained. But in exam, you just have to write what does it mean by using an example. Okay, make sure I write the syntax properly. Okay, and overlaying and hidden elements. So for hidden elements and all to overlay, what you'll do is, for example, if I show an image here, this is one image and this building is one image, and this figure caption is also one image. Three images are there, you have overlaid it. So overlaid means it will display on the same screen at the same position but above one another. Okay, that is overlay. And hidden means if you want to hide, display is equal to none. At that time the thing which was new written here, that is disappeared. Okay, that was about the overlay and hidden. And make sure you know the means syntax very well. Okay, that's important. And what else is there? So this is not important. Constructing multi-column layouts using formats to create layouts. Okay, so this is like navigation bar. Okay, so instead of having a navigation bar cover this whole area, you can just have it in the left part, so it will appear it like this. It will be appeared like this, but it will come above the content which you have written here, and the content will be starting from here. It doesn't look good. So, and here also it's a waste of space. So what is the optimal way is like this. Okay, will be starting from here and the other things will be starting from here, but still you have the other area left here. So to overcome it, will be what we'll be doing is we'll be using the footer till this part. Okay, so it will be appeared till the last wherever footer is present. So that also has some disadvantages, because sometimes it is too long. At that time it will be overlapping the footer, right? If it is in this form it is okay, but if it is like this till the footer will come below and this will come above. Okay, so that are some problems with absolute positioning. So they are not asking in exam what is the problems with absolute positioning, but they might ask you what is relative positioning, absolute positioning, fixed positioning, and fixed format, and floating elements, and the z index value, and what I discussed, overlaying and hidden elements, visibility. So these things are the important things which you need to know the syntax as an example. Okay, and approaches to CSE layout is also important. So what are the approaches is, how do we set the means configuration so that it will be visible on all devices properly. Okay, so there is a fixed layout. Fixed layout means the second example I explained you of iPad and iPhone. So if you have an iPhone here, something is displayed here, that same size content will be displayed in iPad as well, leaving some empty spaces here. That is fixed layout. Okay, so that will be appeared like this, extra space to the right, and it can be like equal space to left and right as well. And liquid layout means it will fill the whole area. So if you open in the iPad, it will feel like this. If you open in a phone, it will be this is the fixed layout. Okay, so fluid layouts are based on the browser's window size. Okay, so this is the fluid layout. See, as you can see, this is means if it expands, it will fill the whole area. That is the fluid or the liquid format. Okay, that is more mostly used. And there are some other layout approaches also, like hybrid layout. And what is responsive design? That's same as the liquid layout itself, which I have to explain. And so what will happen in the responsive design is that, see, you might have observed in some websites that if you like zoom in further, at that time what will happen, some things will be merged into one another, right? Like if you observe carefully, this is present as a separate part here, but if you zoom in, at that time this should also come and this should also come. So what will happen is this will come nearer to this and this will come under this same block. If you zoom in further, at that time it will be shrinking, and it will be like these things and these things will become like one element, right? So what will happen is it will just show as block and a drop down will be displayed. So block drop down menu, before what it was the whole elements were displayed, but now it is shown as drop down menu. So that is known as responsive design. Okay, so this is mostly used in the in current websites. So yeah, that's all what is there in the second module of HTML and CSS. And viewports and all, everything is same here, like what I just explained, that it will just scale accordingly. You just have to write the syntax, what are the lines. It will be using a meta tag, very important. If you don't write this one, you will not get the marks, but because that's the main code due to which the liquid layout works. Okay, so you have to just write an example, a few things you need to know from this module. And media queries is just for the sending of media. Frameworks, grid systems, these things are not much asked, but can skip it for now. If you have internals, for externals I will tell you, like if it's important means in a video before it, I hope. Okay, So that's all what is there in the module 2, and thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.